Have you ever noticed how some men can enter a room and naturally command respect, while others seem invisible or, even worse, embarrassing? The difference is not just in what they wear, but in the habits they cultivate. That colleague of yours, who always seems out of place at social events, is making the same mistakes I'm about to reveal. Pay attention, because these details might have been sabotaging your image for years without you realizing it. Truly powerful men dominate not only their careers, but also every environment they frequent. When Ryan Reynolds enters a room, he does not need to announce his presence. His gestures, posture, and refined behaviors speak for him. Compare this with that acquaintance of yours who is always committing gaffes in public. Which image do you prefer to project? What separates men who are respected from those who are merely tolerated? Elegance is not genetic. It is a skill that can be cultivated, and it begins by eliminating habits that scream amateur to any observant person. First, completely forget the idea of speaking loudly in public. When Brad Pitt was interviewed after winning his Oscar, he maintained his controlled and precise tone, even surrounded by the chaos of the media. Vocal control is not just about volume, but about power. Insecure men speak loudly, trying to capture attention. Powerful men know that speaking in a controlled and deep tone forces others to lean in to hear, literally placing them in a position of subtle submission. At a recent dinner with high-ranking executives, I observed how the CEO never raised his voice above what was necessary. Everyone at the table naturally leaned in to catch his words, a perfect microcosm of how power functions in society. When you shout or speak too loudly, you are not demonstrating authority. You are revealing anxiety and lack of control. True lords dominate environments through the magnetism of their presence, not through the volume of their voice. And here is the secret that nobody tells. It is not what you say, but how you allow others to speak that demonstrates true power. Constantly interrupting other people does not show that you are important. It shows that you are desperate to prove your worth. The next time you feel the impulse to interrupt someone, take a deep breath and ask yourself, would a man in control do this? The answer is clear. True leaders create space for others to speak, knowing that their power is not threatened by others' speaking time. When you allow others to finish their thoughts before thoughtfully responding, you are not just demonstrating good manners. You are exhibiting the security of someone who does not need to compete for attention. This is the behavior of a lord, not a klutz. Spending hours looking at your phone in social meetings is another habit that instantly destroys your image. When David Beckham attended that gala dinner in London last year, observers noted how his phone remained tucked away throughout the entire event. He was completely present, making each person with whom he conversed feel like the only important person in the room. Compare this with the average man today. Head down, screens illuminating, their faces missing conversations and real connections. When you are constantly checking your phone, you are sending a clear message. There is something or someone more important than you at this moment. No truly elegant man communicates this to the people in his presence. The man who intends to project authentic elegance understands that his attention is one of the most valuable currencies he possesses. Distributing it generously to those present, not to digital notifications, is a trademark of true sophistication. Constantly talking about money is a behavior that reveals deep insecurity. The truly successful rarely discuss their possessions or bank accounts. They let their style, knowledge, and presence speak for themselves. The man who needs to mention the price of his watch or car at every opportunity is revealing more about his insecurities than about his success. I remember a dinner with an extremely successful businessman who wore an impeccably tailored suit and a discreet Patek Philippe. Throughout the entire evening, he did not make a single mention of his considerable fortune, preferring to discuss literature, travel, and ideas. Meanwhile, another guest would not stop mentioning the cost of his new boat. Guess which of the two genuinely commanded the respect of the room? The contrast could not be clearer. Here is a truth that few understand. Displaying wealth attracts temporary admirers. Displaying knowledge, education, and presence attracts people who genuinely value your company. It is the difference between being tolerated for your purchasing power and being respected for your character. Another common mistake is neglecting basic table etiquette. Have you ever seen a diplomat eating with an open mouth? A successful CEO talking while chewing? Of course not. The way you behave during a meal reveals volumes about your education and refinement. In cultures around the world, from French sophistication to Japanese precision, table etiquette rules are considered fundamental. It is no coincidence that billion-dollar deals are frequently closed during meals. Observing how someone behaves at the table provides valuable insights into their self-control and consideration for others. Mastering table etiquette is not just about knowing which fork to use. It is about demonstrating that you understand and respect the social conventions that facilitate harmonious interactions. When you deliberately ignore these conventions, you are communicating a dangerous message. The rules do not apply to me. Unless you are an eccentric billionaire, this is rarely a message that benefits your image. Perhaps the most grotesque error I regularly observe is the lack of impeccable personal hygiene. Yes, we are talking about the basics: clean and trim nails, well-cut hair, fresh breath, and immaculate clothes. It seems obvious, but you would be shocked by how many men fail in these fundamentals while worrying about less important details of their appearance. A friend of mine, the human resources director of a Fortune 500 company, confided in me that he has denied promotions to promising executives exclusively because their outfits showed subtle signs of neglect: yellowed collars, unpolished shoes, or an outdated haircut. If he cannot take care of himself with attention to detail, she told me, how can I trust that he will take care of the millions of the company? Elegance is not just about being well-dressed. It is about being impeccably presentable in all aspects. When you shake someone's hand with dirty nails, when your breath reveals that you have not paid attention to your oral hygiene, or when your clothes are wrinkled, you are communicating a devastating message: I do not care enough to prepare adequately for this meeting. There is no easy recovery from this first impression. Disrespect for others' personal space is another revealing sign of lack of refinement. There is a reason why statesmen and respected leaders maintain a calculated distance. It is a demonstration of confidence and consideration. When you get too close to someone during a conversation, you are unconsciously communicating desperation for connection or lack of social awareness. In refined cultures around the world, personal space is treated as an extension of respect. Invading it without invitation is considered a significant transgression. Observe how truly sophisticated men always offer enough space to others, leaning in only when necessary for more intimate communication, and always with implicit permission. This principle extends to public spaces as well. The way you navigate a crowded room, how you position yourself in a line, or how you occupy space in public transportation, all of this communicates your understanding of the subtle social dynamics that separate the refined from the rustic. Littering in public places is a behavior that instantly destroys any pretense of elegance. No matter how well dressed you are, or how many etiquette rules you master, the moment you carelessly discard trash in an inappropriate place, you reveal a fundamental character flaw. A truly elegant man demonstrates respect not only for people, but for the environment where everyone lives. He understands that small acts of civility, such as keeping trash until finding an appropriate garbage bin, are manifestations of a greater principle: consideration for the common good. This care for seemingly insignificant details is precisely what separates men of true class from those who merely dress well. Authentic elegance extends far beyond appearances. It is a complete philosophy of life that privileges excellence, respect, and consideration in every action. The tendency to make jokes at others' expense is another habit that immediately denounces lack of refinement. The truly secure man does not need to diminish others to appear greater. Humor at the expense of others is the tool of the insecure trying to divert attention from their own inadequacies. Observe how respected leaders use self-deprecating humor or intelligent observations about situations, never attacking individuals. This is a crucial distinction that separates those who inspire genuine loyalty from those who merely generate apprehension and superficial conformity. When you ridicule someone, even in a joking tone, you are revealing more about your own insecurity than about the target person. Men of true elegance understand that true power lies in elevating others, not in bringing them down for momentary personal gain. Name-dropping constantly is a habit that screams insecurity. Casually mentioning connections with famous or important people reveals a desperate need for external validation. The truly powerful do not need to borrow credibility. They generate it themselves. I have been at events where apparently sophisticated men completely ruined their image by insisting on mentioning every celebrity or important figure they have ever met. The effect is always the opposite of what was desired. Instead of impressing, they communicate deep insecurity about their own worth. The man of true elegance understands that his credibility comes from his own achievements, character, and presence, not from the people he knows. When you consistently direct conversations toward your supposed important connections, you are inadvertently confessing that you do not consider yourself interesting enough on your own merits. Ignoring those in need is perhaps the most revealing sign of false elegance. True class is not defined only by how you treat the powerful, but by how you treat those who can do nothing for you. Observe how the great leaders of history treated waiters, drivers, and employees with the same respect granted to their peers. I am not talking just about ostentatious charity or public philanthropy. I am talking about small daily acts of human decency, helping someone with a door when their hands are full, giving up your seat to an elderly person, or simply acknowledging the humanity of service workers with a genuine thank you. These seemingly insignificant moments reveal your true character more clearly than any expensive outfit ever could. True elegance is not just appearance. It is an external manifestation of internal integrity and genuine consideration for others. There exists no truly refined man who is cruel or indifferent to those in vulnerable positions. The way you handle setbacks reveals volumes about your refinement. Losing your composure over small inconveniences, a wrong order at a restaurant, a long line, a small delay, immediately destroys the illusion of sophistication. The truly elegant maintain their composure even in the most challenging circumstances. I remember once watching a high-ranking executive dealing with a series of logistical disasters during an important event. While others around him were panicking, he remained perfectly calm, resolving each problem with quiet efficiency. His ability to maintain composure under extreme pressure was more impressive than any achievement listed on his resume. Emotional control is not just about suppressing reactions, it is about responding proportionally to circumstances. The truly refined man is not impassive. He simply understands the difference between genuine challenges deserving of significant emotional response and small inconveniences that are best faced with serene calm. In our society of impatience and instant gratification, This ability to maintain perspective and composure is becoming increasingly rare and, consequently, increasingly valuable as a marker of true elegance and maturity. Let us be direct. If you want to be seen as a man of true elegance and power, it is time to honestly evaluate your public behaviors. Each of these habits we discussed is a choice between projecting authentic sophistication or revealing insecurity and lack of refinement. The good news is that elegance can be learned. By systematically eliminating these behaviors from your public life, you will gradually cultivate a presence that naturally commands respect and admiration. It is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It is about becoming the best version of yourself. Authentic elegance is not about ostentation or pretension. It is about self-control, consideration for others, and meticulous attention to detail. It is about understanding the subtle rules that govern refined social interactions and respecting them not out of fear of judgment, but out of appreciation for their civilizing function. If you apply the principles we discussed today, I guarantee that you will notice significant differences in how you are perceived and treated. People will respond to you with new respect. Opportunities that previously seemed inaccessible will begin to materialize. And most importantly, you will experience the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are operating at the highest level of social refinement. If you wish to transform your presence and elevate your social status immediately, click subscribe right now. Activate the notification bell to be notified when I share exclusive strategies for elegance and power that are not available anywhere else. Leave your like as a commitment to your own transformation into a man of true distinction. I almost forgot. Comment below with "Elegance is power" if this video opened your eyes to habits you need to eliminate. I will be in the comments personally responding to your questions. While other men continue to make these fundamental mistakes, you now possess knowledge that immediately puts you ahead. Use it wisely and watch how your life begins to transform.